In death, I shall be stronger. Unlock other skills by death. The goblins called for Kim Gongja and said, Kicker. A system notification said, your species is the first to start a religion. The goblin said again, Kakerg. A system notification said, you have received 500 species points as a reward for being the first to complete this achievement. Kim Gongja said, they are kind of cute. The Sword Emperor, in disbelief, said, are you sure you do not need to get your eyesight checked? Kim Gongja replied, Sword Emperor, look at them with your mind's eye. I can see the potential of the goblins in my mind. They are so noble and beautiful. The Sword Emperor said, ugh, I cannot deal with you anymore. Just listening to you talk makes me feel like I am losing brain cells. As Kim Gongja walked forward, the ugly goblins followed him. Kim Gongja looked above and said to himself, the vampires. As Kim Gongja looked at a black goose, he muttered, the black dragon leader has succeeded too. A system notification said, quest cleared. A system notification said, you have safely evacuated your species from the natural disaster. A system notification said, you have received 300 species points for clearing the quest. A system notification said, you currently have 855 species points. Kim Gongja said to himself, 500 points for the first religion thing. 170 and 300 more for clearing the quest. Not bad. The Sword Emperor asked, is that a lot? Kim Gongja said, I am basically filthy rich considering we just started. The Sword Emperor said, I will just believe you since you are the goblin god. Kim Gongja said, okay, I need to find a place for them to inhabit now. The Sword Emperor asked, why did that not affect you at all? Kim Gongja chose brass grade habitat detection. A system notification said, purchasing brass grade habitat detection. A system notification said, you have used 80 species points. A system notification said, you currently have 775 species points. Kim Gongja said to himself, a place you can reach if you cross a river, and 3 streams. Nice humidity, nice hunting grounds, not bad for a new habitat. Kim Gongja said, Gurk, gork, gork. Then to himself, all right, follow me. A few moments later, they arrived at a waterfall. A goblin shouted, Kikir! They jumped into the water, bathing for the first time in 5 years. They shouted joyfully, Kur, Kir. A small, smelly goblin shouted, Kur, while his mother smeared mud on his face. A system notification said, the goblins love the place. A system notification said, they feel less sad about having lost their home. Kim Gongja said, they are putting mud on their bodies. The Sword Emperor replied, they do stink really badly. I assume they are trying to get rid of their stench with mud. Kim Gongja sniffed with his enhanced sense of smell and said, I feel like they do smell less bad. A system notification said, will you choose this location as the goblin's new habitat? Kim Gongja said, yes. A system notification said, please name the location. Kim Gongja said, I would love to name it Laviel Temple. He paused and frowned. Ill. But I cannot pronounce that. The goblins will not be able to either. He lifted his head and declared, Guru. A system notification said, the new habitat has been named Guru. A system notification said, the goblins are safely out of danger's reach. A system notification said, will you announce the stage as cleared? The Sword Emperor said, finally I will be free from this disgusting gore zone. Hey, what are you doing? Announce the stage cleared already. Kim Gongja replied, what? Do you really know that little about the tower? Kim Gongja thought to himself, the Great War of the Species, from the 31st floor up to the 40th. The theme of the Great War of the Species continues, and the higher up you go, the more time will have passed. If the 31st floor is the Paleolithic era, the 32nd is the Neolithic era. If I announce the stage is cleared right now, I will be meeting the goblins. After hundreds, if not thousands of years in the next stage, not yet. I need to do as much as I can before moving on. Kim Gongja said to himself, so these were the goblins' traits. A system notification said, traits, victims of. Specimen awareness of fellow goblins and greedy Kim Gongja said, I need to resolve these issues before I leave. A system notification said, rank, F, victims of specimen effect. The goblins are really ugly. It makes anyone who looks at them hate them. Because of this, the goblins suffer all kinds of discrimination and prejudice. It is very difficult for them to form relationships with other species. Warning, those who are discriminated against will harbor hatred in their hearts. If this resentment grows, They will consider all other species as their enemies. You must resolve this problem before it is too late. This trait may change depending on how matters play out, Kim Gonja said, moving on to the next floor just to find out that the goblins are being discriminated against by all other species would be terrible. I have seen this so many times. But this one is actually a really nice trait. Even goblins should have a strength. A system notification said, awareness of fellow goblins rank, C effect. The goblins have a very strong sense of community. When one goblin dies, no one other than the goblins grieves it. A monster has died, let us celebrate. Others are happy instead. Goblins are goblins. This is their fate. The goblins have a very strong bond with each other because they know that they only have each other. The following actions are very much looked down upon in goblin society, betraying other goblins, killing other goblins, and so on. Unless something truly terrible happens, the goblins will never go extinct from internal conflict. This trait may change depending on how matters play out. The Sword Emperor said, really? I feel like that is not true. Kim Gonja asked, you think so? The Sword Emperor replied, no, I was just saying it. Open the next trait. A system notification said, rank, B, greedy effect. The goblins are overflowing with greed. Perhaps it is to compensate for their ugliness. The goblins try to be validated for what they possess, rather than who they are as individuals. Kier. I am covered in warm mud. Kier. I am covered in the luxury mud that comes from the upper parts of the stream. Greed for something better. Greed for something cooler. Their inferiority complex and sense of shame, along with their desire for validation, mixed together to create greed in the hearts of the goblins. Perhaps they might come to like jewels as well. Perhaps they will start enslaving others and compete over who has the prettier slave in the future. The goblins are greedy, and in this greed lies the goblins' potential as a species. How this greed may change is up to you. This trait may change depending on how matters play out. Kim Gonja said, they really are similar to me. The Sword Emperor looked confused. Kim Gonja added quickly, I am just talking to myself. Then Kim Gonja jumped into the mud. The goblin children said, Kier, Kiker. Kim Gonja replied, Krn. As he looked at a lump of dung, a goblin child asked, Guurg. Kim Gonja smeared the dung on the goblin's tummy. The goblin became happy and shouted, Gore! Kim Gonja continued smearing dung on the other goblins and muttered to himself, it is hard to draw with a paw. The Sword Emperor said, Gonja, are you tattooing them? Suddenly, a goblin realized something and shouted, Gurgur, Kurg. A system notification said, the goblins are opening their eyes to beauty. A system notification said, the goblins are shocked by the beauty. A system notification said, the goblins' victims of specism trait has changed. Rank, E primitive fashionista effect. The goblins are still really ugly. Anyone who looks at them will hate them. Because of this, the goblins suffer all kinds of discrimination and prejudice. It is still very difficult for them to form relationships with other species. Kerr, we are ugly. The goblins declared, but they came up with a special culture because of this. Then why do we not just wear cool clothes instead? They began compensating for their looks with fashion. The goblins drew designs on their green skin. The more beautiful the tattoo, the more they were acknowledged by their community. Congratulations, the goblins now have a culture of fashion. Let there be blessings upon the primitive fashionistas. The Sword Emperor muttered, they are still goblins, even if they draw on themselves. A system notification said, however, whether this fashion is recognized by the other species is a different topic altogether. This trait may change depending on how matters play out. Kim Gonja said, KRR. All right. He thought to himself, the Great War of the Species and Guardian Constellation are just fancy terms. Simply put, all I need to do is raise these kids well. Kim Gonja shouted, Kurng, Kar, Gore, Gore. I will make sure that you all thrive. The goblins circled around him and shouted, Kicker, Kicker. The Sword Emperor muttered, he is out of his mind. The goblins continued chanting, Kekurg, Kekurg. The Sword Emperor said, these guys are not going to become Kim Gonja version 2 later on, are they? Please no. The goblins shouted again, Kekur, Kekurg. The Sword Emperor groaned, we cannot have that happen. A system notification said, purchasing prey detection. A system notification said, using 5 species points. A system notification said, you currently have 865 species points. Kim Gonja roared, Gore! The goblins echoed, Kerr, Kerr. Together they attacked a beast. A system notification said, The hunt is a success. A system notification said, you have learned everything there is about this prey. You cannot earn any more species points through hunting this animal. A system notification said, you have reached the maximum hunting experience. You cannot earn any more species points through hunting. Kim Gongja muttered to himself, that is it for hunting in this region. A system notification said, the goblins have positioned themselves as hunter-gatherers. A system notification said, you cannot earn any more species points through gathering. Kim Gongja said, I guess the same goes for gathering. The Sword Emperor sighed, yeah, Gongja, let us leave now, Kim Gongja thought. To himself, getting into groups to hunt a bigger animal, how to play with mud. The seeds to help the goblin civilization bloom in the future had been planted. A system notification said, the Viper has announced his mission as cleared. A system notification said, the Sword Saint has announced his mission as cleared. Kim Gongja said, I want to teach them text or aura. The Sword Emperor replied, why? Do it then. Kim Gongja shook his head. The problem is that I cannot. A system notification said, opening civilization shop. Kim Gongja gestured at the system window. Look at this. Text description. The species will develop writing. Leaving records behind in writing is more efficient than an oral tradition. Unlike a voice that evaporates as soon as you speak, text withstands the flow of time. Price, 4,500 points. Pure humans will start with this skill already in hand. Kim Gongja sighed. All I have right now is 1,015 points. I am nowhere near 4,500. Why do humans start with it when it is so expensive? The Sword Emperor shrugged. It is your fault for choosing goblins. Kim Gongja thought to himself, it is not just the humans that get an advantage like this. The elves, that the Count guides possess mana response and aura response from the very beginning. He muttered aloud, what is with this balance? Meanwhile, my kids are struggling in mud. Of course, I believe that my kids will improve enough to trample on all the other species, but I still feel bad for them. Ha! The Sword Emperor said. You are the one I feel bad for. Kim Gongja said. I would love to teach them text before I leave, though. A system notification said. The Holy Knight has announced her mission as cleared. Kim Gongja muttered. Now it is just the cult interrogator, the Black Dragon leader, and me remaining. Fine. I give up. I will teach them myself. Krrrng. The goblins looked back at him and said, Kurg. Kekurg. Kim Gongja pointed at the ground. Watch, children. Ah, Kur. Ah, this is a... The goblins, with intellect of one, tilted their heads in confusion. Kim Gongja grumbled, they do not get it at all. He tried again. Gor. Ah, Kara. Watch closely. A. This is A. The goblins trembled in fear. Garg. A system notification said, the goblins are afraid of you. Your strange behavior is making them panic. The goblins offered meat to Kim Gongja and whimpered, Kikurg. Ki. Kim Gongja drew the letter B on the ground. The goblins gasped in shock. He quickly drew the letter C and shouted, Ki-hee. The goblins only grew more confused. Kim Gongja muttered to himself, these guys are too stupid. Can they not learn? A goblin asked another, what is this? I do not get it. A system notification said, the goblins request you not to be mad at them. Kim Gongja slapped the meat away. I am not doing this to try and get meat from you, the goblin shrieked. Keek. Kim Gongja exhaled and said, you will just end up forgetting if I teach you like this. You need to learn what this means and what the point of learning it is. Wait, I do not need to start with the alphabet. He clapped his hands. Krrrng, gather around. The goblins shuffled closer with sad faces. Kim Gongja thought to himself, I can already tell what they are thinking. He wants us to do something strange again. I wish he would just put mud on us instead. He smiled and reassured them. Kirb, now, it is all right. You know that I like you, right? He smeared dung on their heads. The goblins brightened instantly. Kerr, Kim Gongja thought to himself, they are easy to comfort, even if they get mad. He raised his paw and drew a square on the ground. This square means mud. Do you get it? The goblins stared blankly. Kim Gongja said gently, you do not get it yet? That is okay. We have plenty of time. He smeared dung on a goblin's face, then made another square. Oh, mud. One goblin sniffed the dung on his face, then looked at the square. His friend copied and drew another square. Kim Gongja smiled. Later, they looked up at the sun. Kim Gongja drew a circle on the ground. This is day. The sky is bright. A few hours later, as night fell, they looked at the moon. Kim Gongja shaded in the circle. Right now, it is night. The sky is dark. He drew a star. This means sun. Is it not bright? He shaded another star. This is moon. He made a wave symbol. This is water. He made 2 waves. This is stream. He made 3 waves. If the water is really, really deep, this is river. Kim Gongja thought to himself, the goblins' world is still small. They do not realize how vast the world is yet. They do not really leave their habitat. A goblin pointed at the sky and said, Kirk, sky. His friend pointed at the ground. Ker, ground. Another added, Kek, earth. Another shouted, Care, gar, meat. Kim Gongja chuckled, feels nice. A goblin echoed, Ker. Kim Gongja continued, feels bad. And so a very small world made up of just 6 concepts was born. Suddenly it rained. Kim Gongja said, look closely. Dark sky, water. That means rain. It is water from the dark sky. The goblins drew on the turd and said, Kurr, kurr. A system notification said, the goblins have opened their eyes to text. A system notification said, the goblins have earned the new trait Heritage of Records. Heritage of Records rank, EA effect. The goblins have learned the infinite possibilities of drawing. They realize that symbols can represent things in life, not just something cool to draw. NO means sky to the goblins. And I means ground or mud to the goblins. NOI together means sky and ground. This is the goblins' way of saying world. O is the goblins' world. From now on, the goblins will continue to develop their language. They will leave behind what they love in drawing, and their lives will be imbued in their text. Hopefully, luck will be on their side. This trait is bound to change depending on how matters play out. They rejoiced and shouted, Care, care, keker, while dancing in the rain. A system notification said, the Black Witch has announced her mission as cleared. Kim Gongja said, it is time I leave too. I wanted to teach them simple arithmetic as well though. As the goblins slept, the Sword Emperor said, I think it was impressive enough that you taught them pictographs, as well as up to the number 5. Kim Gongja licked the turd on the goblins' faces and said, Car, gore. Then he whispered to himself, goodbye, children. I cannot have you messing with the lion's body, so I will go far away from you. Kim Gongja ran off. He looked back when he heard the goblins say, Kikerg, Kurg, Kikiker, Kikikerg. Kim Gongja said to himself, they are looking for me. Live well, become good adults, let us meet later. A system notification said, the Death Sovereign has announced his mission as cleared. A system notification said, the 31st stage has been cleared. A system notification said, rewards will be distributed after entering the 32nd floor. A system notification said, serial stage in progress, forcibly being sent to the 32nd floor. Thank you so much for watching. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to help me grow my channel. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to leave a comment below. I love hearing from you. Let's keep the conversation going and get those analytics buzzing. Until next time, take care.